news happening around it right now with one of our best players who is a legend for one particular organization who happens to be one of the most historic franchises in the history of all of sports. Then he makes a big-time move to another organization, gets a big-time bag, a new home with a quarterback that he knows very well and an offensive coordinator and everybody that kind of wants him over there, and they pay him big deal. Then the quarterback's gone, everything's gone, brand new operation. He says, I want to get the hell out of here, allegedly. And then now the Las Vegas Raiders have said, yeah, you can come and get Davante Adams, even though this conversation was happening all offseason. It was shut down as of yesterday. Now, Davante Adams is currently on the trade block.
Whoa.
There's a lot of teams excited about the potential of adding some greatness to your wide receiver core. And there are some teams that are just mathematically out of the equation. There is some money that's going to be owed to Davante Adams over the next couple years. Now, 2025, 2026, non-guaranteed. So what does that mean? Well, it means that the Raiders still probably going to get a cap hit out of this thing, but also it means a new contract is going to have to come alongside of this particular trade. $13.5 million is what's due right now, and then like every game check, it goes down throughout the weeks. So if they were to wait for the deadline, which is November 5th, it would be $8.5 million owed to Davante Adams. Nonetheless, the next 2 years non-guaranteed. So this contract is basically done after these $13.5 million. You would assume with how this type of situation normally goes with the NFL, a new contract would have to be negotiated, which is like $30 million, is what the going rate is for number one wide receiver. Now, Davante already got a bag. It went how it went with the Raiders. Is he looking to break the bank yet again in his prime? 31 years old, still one of the top guys of all time, has the most amount of touchdowns since he joined the Raiders in the entire NFL at 22 or something like that. Is he going to want to break the bank again? Probably going to have to get paid. So who will have $30 million to spend over the next couple years? Who will be able to add another number one wide receiver? A lot of people saying New York Jets can.
Whoa.
And he'd want to play with Aaron Rodgers, wouldn't he? Him and Aaron made magic. Aaron on Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays for numerous years, whenever he was teammates, would say, yeah, that touchdown to Davante wasn't called, and we literally just looked at each other and we understood what was happening. Yeah, 8 years ago, we saw the same exact coverage, didn't we? And what did we do then? Well, instead of running a low stop, we ran a sluggo, and it was a touchdown. Him and Aaron speak the same football language. They did for a long time. We watched it. Aaron won multiple MVPs. Davante Adams became the number one wide receiver conversation in everybody's conversation. He's still that guy, is what everybody is saying around Davante. And if he and Aaron are able to cook that magic in New York City, in New York City, boy, that would be a hell of a story to tell. But don't leave out the New Orleans Saints. No. Coach Williams, who's a wide receiver coach down there, is actually his mentor, he has said, and his personal wide receiver coach. And also, his college roommate, Derek Carr, is the quarterback in a resurgence year for a Saints offense that is explosive. Now, those are the teams, allegedly, that Davante has expressed interest in. Those are two teams that the Raiders have allegedly, not just them, other teams as well, are open to trading Davante Adams to. We shall see how it unfolds. Everybody assumes the Kansas City Chiefs won't be in play because that's a division rival. I think that's probably a smart assumption. Tom Telesco, he formerly of the Chargers operation division, I don't think that'll ever happen. But Davante moving is electrifying.
Huge.
For everybody but Raiders fans. And I think behind the scenes, allegedly, this had been brewing for a while because Davante wanted a new contract. He's seen everybody else's contracts going bananas, and he goes, wait a minute, who's in the top three conversation every single, oh, me, okay. Everybody else is getting paid. How come I'm not getting paid? Just like Jamar Chase was feeling the exact same way. He had 2 years left on his contract. In this particular setup of a contract, there's only 1 year left. Davante wanted money, allegedly, quietly behind closed doors. Then it kind of boiled into this season. Now, it is what it is with Antonio Pierce, the head coach of Las Vegas Raiders, not even saying his name yesterday whenever he was dressing medical reports of him and Max Crosby. He goes, this is exactly how it goes.
What are the plans with Max and Davante at practice this week, and is Michael Mayer back in the building?
With Max and 17, all depends on where they're at health-wise. As of right now, status quo.
Whoa.
And Mike is still doing it personal.
Okay, so didn't give away anything. Didn't say his name, though. Is that a little bit of a heat? We shall see. I'm excited to learn where he goes, how he goes, and what teams are inevitably interested. There's a 9-year NFL vet here, host of Everything DB, Good D, Bad D, Darius J. Butler.
Yes, sir.
D-Butch, Davante's still Davante. Has the ability to get open. He can literally, he can shake a tree if he had to. He is a phenomenal athlete, and everybody tries to learn from him. He still has it, 31 years old.
Still got it. I said it yesterday a couple times. I think he's still in the prime of his career. To think about being in the prime of your career at wide receiver, Hopefully you have a quarterback that's in the prime of their career as well, and then a play caller that can also dial it up. You just need so many things to go right for you as a wide receiver, so I can understand the frustration from his part. Obviously something going on behind the scenes there with him and AP. You know, not saying his name. Little
That
body
was
language.
big, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was big. That was big.
Yeah, I thought
Obviously
so, too.
after liking the Instagram post as well. You know, Aaron came on here a couple of times and talked about how they were watching receivers. So that's how he saw a bunch of Jaden Daniels film. They were watching some of the top receivers, neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. So him being available, obviously the team and the organization was looking for another big play wide receiver, Davante hitting the mark. And another team that was up there too, the Commanders. You pair him up with Scary Terry with a young quarterback, Jaden Daniels, on a rookie quarterback deal, so you would expect him to have some money, mobility when it comes to the salary cap. I would love to see that with young Jaden Daniels, what he's doing in D.C.
Cliff Kingsbury would love to see it as well. One half of the hammer down. Cowboys, AP. Tony's here. The Pittsburgh Steelers, we just mentioned 3 teams, okay? And there's been 2 teams that have come out publicly that Davante Adams is interested in.
Sure.
And are interested in him, in the Saints and the Jets. The Pittsburgh Steelers, though, big-time conversation with Brandon Ayuk allegedly this offseason, even up to like a $30 million offer. So they already have that amount of money potentially ready to spend on the wide receiver position. But then people are also saying the Baltimore Ravens. AP Tone, as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, could you imagine Davante Adams going to the Baltimore Ravens when the Steelers probably very interested as well?
Well, my words earlier today when we were talking about if he went to the Ravens. Do you remember?
You said vomit, I think?
I would throw up. I would puke everywhere if he went to the Ravens. But no, you would expect the Steelers to be in it. They were in it with Brandon Ayuk to the very end. Obviously, until the 11th hour, Jay Glazer reported that the Steelers were up for Ayuk, almost a Steeler. So you would assume Davante Adams would go there. Also, just a fun little tidbit. George Pickens said when he was coming out of the draft that he'd modeled his game after Davante Adams, kind of like that's a guy that he looks up to in the NFL. So that'd be fun.
And what happened yesterday? I think Davante followed George Pickens
you're right.
on
Sorry.
Instagram.
Yep.
Also, Cordero Patterson tweeted, "Hey, Davante needs to be a Steeler." So yeah, we're right back in it. Okay, but I just have a request. Any of the reporters that reported that Ayuk was going to be a Steeler, you're not allowed to report on this. Okay, we don't need to go through all that.
I remember that whole Kennywood roller coaster ride. That was so much fun and engaging, just like every roller coaster in the history of Kennywood. For us outside of the Steelers fan base, I mean, it was he's on the team. There was like legitimate, credible journalism happening. Hey, deal's done. Brandon Ayuk's a Pittsburgh Steeler. And you just we got 2 quarterbacks.
What?
We got Brandon Ayuk. We got this defense. I mean, from where you guys were to where you were then. And then all of a sudden, Ayuk, he's going to stay with the Niners, take a bunch of money that was offered to him a couple months ago, and then he's going to wear the wrong shorts and kick those off. He's still not happy, but he's still doing his thing. So if he ends up going to the Ravens, what if it's because of selection? What if it's like Davante Adams was like, I want to go to the Baltimore Ravens, who he's already spoke glowingly of Lamar Jackson.
Sure.
And then he says, I don't want to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. All of a sudden, are you guys the New England Patriots? Let's go. Let's talk to the table at Boston Connor. And man who played 12 years in the NFL, Super Bowl champion, Jackie Moon, player coach, AQ Shipley here. AQ looks like the longshoreman union leader. He is not that. The hair, look at the goatee, a little bit darker.
Right. Got a yacht,
little bit darker. That's a situation. That's a situation.
We'll continue to be. This thing's getting gray real quick, though.
Yeah, well, his is, I don't know if his.
I think it's full gray, right?
Yeah, his is white. Yeah, he's white. He's been through some stuff.
so-
We've learned a lot about him.
Yeah, a lot
The
of
internet has
stuff.
learned a lot about him. Hey, let's get a deal done. Hey, come on, let's get a deal done. Let's get a deal done. Let's go. There he is. It's full white there.
Every white with a goatee. Oh, you look like AQ.
Yeah, I get that too. I mean,
It's inevitable. I mean, that guy's head, too.
the shape
It's a
of
good
it.
shape.
If we gave you that gold chain and the
I
glasses.
need a gold chain.
Okay.
Anyways, we learned a lot about this guy yesterday.
Too much.
Had no idea he existed, and I saw one video where he goes, the cars, they're not coming. A lumber, not coming.
Week 2.
The steel, you think that's coming? It's not coming.
Christmas.
Everything gone. Boom.
My boys.
My guys. Holy shit. And then the rest of the world's like, he's right, but this ain't cool.
Yeah.
It's like, no shit. I don't. I think we're all wondering how the hell this has become a reality. Let's sort it out. Hey, smart people, figure it out.
I'm on it.
Sounds like don't.
I bet.
Anybody
I
but
do.
But AQ Shipley, I mentioned there beforehand, though, like if he's picking where he's going and he does pick the Ravens over the Steelers, obviously there'll be some heartbreak from Steelers fans, but you guys are 3-1. Everything's good. We'll talk to J.J. Watt in the next hour. Excited to get his take on the Pittsburgh Steelers' first loss. First loss to the Indianapolis Colts. That's tough stuff. A lot has just too much. You guys are going to need that, though, for where you're headed, I think. You know, young quarterback Justin Fields had to experience an environment like that.
Balled out.
A lot of holding.
What's that?
What was it? Was that Escalade used to say? Or was it?
No holding.
No holding.
Yeah, you're talking
Colts
about
didn't
one
get that
mixtape.
memo. Okay.
Yeah, the MC. Yeah, I understand what you're
Plan.
saying.
We executed a plan.
Yeah, we damn right. Shane Steichen said, yeah, I got a plan for TJ Watt. We're going to hug them. We're going to show them so much love that they're not going to be able to take it.
Nice.
And that's what boys did.
Yeah.
And we got a big-time win. We'll talk about that. But Davante Adams, New England Patriots aren't in this at all, huh? Because you guys stink? Is that what we're assuming?
Well, I mean, that's what we're assuming, but I don't know if we would just say that they aren't in it at all. I would hope they make a call because they do have the cap space. They have cap space in the future, too, so if he wants another deal, absolutely. My whole thing is if he doesn't have a no-trade clause, and it's not as if Telesco and Pierce don't have allegiance to him, like why wouldn't this be a best offer type of situation? I'm not saying the Patriots are offering the best offer because there are other teams out there that could easily offer more if they, you know, really do believe they can go get a Super Bowl, which by all accounts this year the Patriots can't. But you would assume that they at least make a call, at least say something. Hey, look, we know we're averaging 120 pass yards a game, but why don't you come here? Why don't you come here and get 80 of those?
So
bitches?
I mentioned Davante picking and choosing. I guess you're 100% right, especially with how it's going. They're not necessarily. I mean, that goes back to like what New England would do to guys.
Yeah.
Guys would come in allegedly and publicly display that they're not happy, and then go to Cleveland. I was Cleveland right now. I don't.
It's kind of the same as what it was when
I don't
know.
No, but they had good times though.
They had a couple. They had a year.
Last year,
Baker won the playoff game.
Well, and Joey Flack. Remember what Joe Flack did?
And then they said, hey, you want another deal? Look elsewhere, bitch.
But anyways, coaches and teams have done that before, and I guess GMs and teams have done that before where they go to like worst spot. For Davante Adams, AQ Shipley, you've been a coach, you've been a player. How did the rest of the league view, like, let's say, because there was a couple weeks ago, Antonio Pierce said there were some people making some business decisions. And he said on the tape, so maybe we'll have to look into the plays. But was he talking business decision behind scenes too? If like Davante didn't want to be a Raider and he potentially, I have a there's no way that's the case that's happening, but is there a chance that teams are definitely calling and asking that question? Like, hey, where did this go wrong? Or are we in a modern era right now where people think if we get him in our building, he'll be better than it? We don't give a shit. Like, it's not going to happen in our building like it happened in other people's.
Yeah, you nailed it with the second comment. Everybody thinks that whenever they get them in their building, they'll be completely different. And most of the time, that's the case, especially if it's a winning franchise, right? When you look at this, he comes out with a hamstring on Thursday. It's like, we stink. Meh. I'll wait a couple weeks.
There's a chance it could happen. We're not saying Davante did that.
Yeah, this could happen. And I've seen it happen, right? Like I've seen it happen in buildings, especially, you're 3-6 or 3-5. It's like, whew. Those 50-50 injuries where you normally go? Nah, we're shutting it down. We're shutting it down.
And you can only be who you can afford to be. Not everybody can do that. Obviously, bottom half of the roster, I got a 30-70, and I'm taking the 30 to play so that I can get on the field because I can't be I'll lose my job if I get injured and I can't play in there. Not saying Davante did that, but these are questions that teams will certainly have whenever they're calling the Raiders.
For sure.
And then I think back in the day that mattered more. I think now it doesn't matter. Like it not working here in Oakland and him saying 17 and all this shit happening this quickly into this season when seemingly going into the year, this guy's one of our pillars. We're going to build around this guy. Yeah. This is the Raiders culture that we want. That was basically the conversation that was happening. And now it's like we're going opposite directions. I think back in the day, teams would have cared more about that thing. The word distraction, I think, back in the day meant a lot more around the league. Now it's like, can I got a ball? Yeah. We can get him.
Bring him
in. He'll be better with us.
And I think that's not a bad mentality. I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing. But it's like, I wonder how many people will wonder why and how this all went wrong.
You'll definitely wonder, especially when you're trying to read the tea leaves, read the writing on the wall. But the thing about Davante, he's already built up his credibility of who he is a pro. We've seen him get paid, who he is with money. So it's not like, at least for me and everything that we've seen, once again, when Aaron was on yesterday talking about Aaron Jones, Davante was one of the guys that he mentioned. Jordy was one of the guys that he mentioned. And from the outside looking at how this guy plays, you can tell almost, how his teammates react to him, how much he loves the game. When they were sucking last year, when Jimmy G was throwing him, in the big hits, and he was pissed off, he was still coming out there showing up and giving his best effort. And then the other part of it is, if you come to a championship culture, if you come to a team that's built to contend or compete this year, you expect to get the best out of Davante. So I don't think it'll be any concerns at that point with him. Now, if this is a rookie or a guy maybe on their 2-3 years in, you may have some question and concern, but I think Davante is pretty much solid on who he is around the league.
I said earlier he could shake a tree. I think like a redwood would actually go with him, think that he's going one way.
He can shake in the phone booth.
His cuts are just so deliberate, and so he's not like Tyreek Hill runs a 4.2, right? So that is a way. He might be the fastest guy in the world. That is a weapon at wide receiver to get open.
Yeah.
Right? That is a way to get open. This dude is not the fastest human on earth. Very fast, but not the fastest human on earth, and can get open on anybody.
Yeah.
Like that
Play
is,
speed.
and his catch radius
His hand.
is stupid. It's like, that is why I feel like he understands he's the number one wide receiver in the league. And I think he wants to get back to proving it every week. I think he wants to get back to a team where he can. And like,
Get a quarterback, man.
I need a quarterback.
Got a guy to get with a quarterback, because all the things you mentioned, his suddenness, his ability to separate, his ability to catch, show late hands, read coverages and adjust the coverages, mid route. That's the tough one. When receivers are out there thinking, a lot of people will say, hey, this young guy, he was a 4.3 guy, he's 6'3", he can, all these different things, but you got to be able to get open consistently. Obviously, you got to be able to make contested catches. You got to be able to read coverages. Your route will completely change if it's single high and it rotates a split safety post coverage. And if a quarterback can't trust you to know exactly where you need to be, they're not going to throw you the ball. So all those things he still has at an elite level right now with Davante Adams.
Well, and that's why it's like outside looking in. Sure, you could view it as like, oh, this guy's, a problem. Maybe he is.
I had no idea.
No clue. But maybe he is, being a distraction. But also, like, he went to Vegas for a couple reasons, and it's been 3 years he's played with 5 quarterbacks. He's had 2 head coaches. Like, there has to be some sort of idea that, hey, everywhere this guy's gone, everyone's praised him for how hard of a worker he is. He's been called the pillar of the franchises he's been a part of. Like, absolutely, distraction is one way to look at this, but also at a certain point, the guy is towards the end of his career. He hasn't been able to, play in a playoff game in a very long time. Yeah, compete for a Super Bowl. It's like, you can understand someone who what did he say last year? Or maybe it was this year. He's not going for stats. He's competing against greatness, or whatever the sentiment was that he had when the whole Derek Carr thing was going down. So, like, if I'm any team that's I guess any team in general, terrible, bottom of the league to one
Colts.
Of these teams at the top.
Colts, for instance, a not terrible team, not at the bottom, but why not have Davante Adams come to the Indianapolis Colts? That'd be fun. Anthony Richardson, allegedly day-to-day. That's good news.
Is it?
Okay.
Because I thought in the middle of the game, that was potential real
season.
Take your time.
Yeah, take your time.
Take your time.
If it's a bruised hip, bone bruises.
6 to 8.
What's that?
He should take 6 to 8.
I mean,
he could
I
make
would say that much time, but
what is your problem?
healthy.
Feels like you're saying something else.
They want to be out there playing, but the stat you threw out there, and I was surprised at me. You said Davante Adams leads the league in touchdowns.
22, yeah. Since going to the Raiders.
Since he went to the Raiders.
That's
incredible.
That's mind blowing.
With the quarterbacks that he was with.
Yeah, that's
he had like
crazy.
3 or 4 or something like that, I think, like in a couple games. Like
that's crazy.
Yeah.
He went bananas a few times.
I was looking for the tweet.
Killed the Colts.
Yeah, all those highlights were against the Colts. I was watching the highlights. I saw Lucas Oil Stadium in the back. I'm like, I can't even see the players yet. I can only see the ball. What are we doing here? And then, lo and behold, late hands grab.
He saw it.
Yeah, he's so good. Good luck out there, Davante.
Mm-hmm.
We hope you find what you're looking for.
Come to New England.
Come to Indianapolis. D-Butch has 7 teams he'd like to see you on.
I want to see him with a good team. I like good players competing late in their career.
I think Lions would be so awesome.
That would
because
be.
they don't have like a Davante type with the Lions, and that team would be so fun to watch. They just scored 42 points. Add Davante into that.
Well, and the offense coordinator, Ben, is incredibly creative. He'll figure out ways to get him the ball.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't be a Brad Holmes move, though. They haven't made any moves like that since starting there.
That's why they've never
But I
won a
would love
bowl.
it. Don't get me wrong. I would absolutely love it.